So we're going to talk about the impact module, and this is going to be more of the overview. This isn't the actual impact module that you'll see on a Saturday that's breaking down a policy or an investment. This is going to be the thinking behind it, right? So remember the resources you've got. You've got this video. You've got the animation on the PowerPoint. You've got the outlines. All of those are designed to be tools to help you appreciate and understand the thinking behind it, not just the words to say. It's about why we do what we do, what the tools are. So make sure you utilize those and really get a good grasp of how we're building this company and what we're really fighting to accomplish. Right? So when we talk about impact and what we're doing, there really is a very, very unique opportunity here to not only be passionate about helping your family and making money and stuff like that, and I'm a big believer in profit, but it's also at the opportunity to make an impact in somebody else's life. Right? Either it's we help one family, 50 families, or 500,000 families, we get to be the difference, right? And we're going to talk, obviously we've talked a lot about this access gap, but this really is an opportunity to start to not just learn the words that the wealthy have access to education and ownership and financial freedom and financial advice, but really take a second and figure out if this is something that you believe. Do you believe that there might be things that the wealthy do and the resources that they have that the rest of us don't have, right? From a institutionalized idea of what winning is and success and how they put ourselves in the best position to be successful. Is there a different mindset when it comes to the have-nots? I mean, obviously, preschool and college grants and opportunities and resources, but do you feel like, okay, there really is this group of people there designed for the resources, and this gap in the middle we don't want this to just become a cool catchphrase. This is us. This is the people that's having to work for money, right? We always laugh about this, but it's kind of like Main Street families work to create taxes, and the taxes take care of the have-nots, right? So half the money or a portion of the money goes to taxes, which takes care of the have-nots, and the other portion of the money goes to buy stuff, which supports the wealthy and the companies that they own. So the bulk of this country's supported by this middle group, whether it's their tax money that's taking care of the have-nots or it's their income and discretionary money that's taking care of the things they're buying. And that we have a tendency to get stuck and go, okay, wait a second here. How did this happen and why? Well, we always go through this, but do you want to get wealthy? Do most of us want to get wealthy? Do we want to protect our family? Do we want to get out of debt? Of course, right? If we had a yes or no, would you not to, very few people go, I want to die broke. I mean, at the end of the day, most of us would like to be in a different financial situation. The challenge is, can we trust the banks, the insurance companies, and lenders to help us get that there? Now, that's a personal question, right? No one, not me, not anyone else, should convince you of those answers. Ask yourself, do you think that the banks have an interest in helping you get wealthy? If you do, fantastic. Don't let anybody convince you otherwise. If you don't, then it's like, okay, wait a second. Right? We sit here and go, well, what do you mean? Well, if they offer a 1% CD and the Rule 72 says it takes 72 divided by the interest rate, tells you how many years it takes for that money to double, a 1% CD says it's going to take 72 years for whatever money you put in to double. Well, is that going to get you wealthy? Maybe will, maybe won't. Only you can answer that. Cash value life insurance. You pay for two things and only ever get one, right? There's a problem when it comes to that. Interest-only loans, right? When it comes to our mortgages, it's not that there's not a place for it, but what happens is products are designed to give people, the belief, it's going to be better tomorrow when we don't know what's going to happen. So he said, not only do we not necessarily, in the past believe that these industries are going to take care of us, but they actually built products designed to keep that group there. So you go, okay, well, what are the options? What are the alternatives that we've got? Well, Primerica said, we want to provide access to the education and the tools. So he said, well, okay, you want to get wealthy? Daily management. Managed accounts instead of $250,000, but we can literally open an account for $25,000. A debt game plan to get you out of debt, to make sure that we start an emergency fund, that we stop the hemorrhaging and we stop giving other people access and power to our money. And then when it comes to life insurance, we've got to lock in the advances. You and I have worked our tails off to get from where we were to where we are. And if something happens to us, yes, we want to protect our family. But you know what? We want to make sure that our kids and the people in our lives don't go backwards, that we don't have to repeat a generation. And Primerica says we're going to give the best products and the best services we can, to make sure that no family has to repeat a generation just because someone didn't give them access to the tools that they need. Right? So we said, okay, so we go, look, if we gather those up and we take them to Main Street Families, now there's a legitimate opportunity for those families to be able to do and think like the wealthy when it comes to their money, right? And so we go, okay, that's that premise. So then it becomes about showing what we do, because we can come up with all these theories and say all this stuff, but the reality is, let's break down what's going on in the industry. So one of the things that we love to do is make sure that you understand how do the different products and services work, right? But before we get there, right, what does a whole life or a universal life or variable life insurance policy mean? Why does the cash value life insurance do what it does, and how do the programs work? Just because we say we let Primerica be the expert in financial services, that doesn't mean that you don't want to become an expert at the products and services that they've got, because we have to understand what the industry's doing. Right? We want to make sure the overview of policy, take the time, read it, talk to somebody, talk to your developer, sit with your vice president, say, look, let me study these things, let me look at a policy, let me know what a whole life is. Take some time. I'm telling you, when you realize that people literally sat in a room and came up with the ideas of these policies, when you understand that there's something inside you that just has to snap. Maybe your life's been affected by it. Maybe your friend or your family or parent. Maybe someone invested for their retirement, their kid's college in a whole life policy. Or maybe no one showed up and no one made sure that family was properly protected and those advances were going to be locked in. Either way, you know what? We've got to have a bigger calling. Right? But why is saving such a big deal? It's not just the life insurance. This is not about selling a bunch of life insurance. This is about making sure that we lock in advances, but you know what? We also better secure them. Why is saving such a big deal? What kinds of programs? Right? Old 401ks or money that's sitting in IRAs, right? The value of someone actively watching it. Why is it okay that we go, the wealthy, if someone had $2.5 million, right, they'd never let a day go by without someone watching it. But we have, $24,000, $26,000, $50,000 in an old account. And we're like, it's there somewhere. You know what? We've got to make sure that we get ahead of that we really can understand what's going on in the industry with that. Right? Because then you go, okay, well, what's the value of Primerica? Look, it's going to be locking in advances. You want to understand, how does the theory of decreasing responsibility work? How does the establishing the habits make all of the difference in active management? How do our tools work? How's the financial needs analysis, right, give somebody a snapshot of steps, right? This is about step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's not about being the expert of building game plans. The financial needs analysis does that. It's not about coming up with the perfect investment portfolio. The managed accounts and the allocation series does that. It's not about figuring out which life insurance product. It's, look, if something happens, we got to protect and lock in that investment based on your income. Let's get the longest period of time for the most amount of coverage that we can afford with the premium dollars. Take the rest of the money and invest it, and have somebody actively be involved from now until where you're ready to retire. Guys, that's all we do. Is we say, man, we want to leverage Primerica. We let our back office provide the client retention and the opportunity to do that, so someone's actively working with them on a day-to-day or month-to-month or a year-to-year basis, and it allows us to grow. Now, if we were in financial services, this conversation would be over. But guys, when you look back over at that Main Street Families, the reality is there's such a bigger calling, because you and I got 24 hours a day, and so do you. Together, we can help 2 or 3 or 4 families a day or a week. But what if we had 10 of us or 50 of us, right? There's something so much more. So one of the questions you got to ask is, would this family have figured it out on their own? When you sit down with someone, whether you're at the Saturday and you go through a program that someone sat with, or maybe it's your sister, your cousin, or your next door neighbor, would they have figured it out on their own? If they hadn't yet, there's a good chance that they might not have. Well, do we think the banks, the insurance companies, and lenders, you think they're ever going to change their values or tactics? You think that they're ever going to say, you know what, we want to make sure that Main Street Families have a legitimate shot to get wealthy, and it's okay if we don't make as much profit, and it's okay if. Do we really think? Do you think folks like us can actually make a difference? If we literally gathered up the resources of the wealthy, and we took it to people like us and said, man, well, here's the difference between you and me. is I learned some things. I got some amazing partnerships with an amazing group of people that are passionate about what they're passionate about. Man, this company, Primerica, is unbelievable. They are so focused on creating products and services designed for Main Street families. We got this incredible back office to make sure that we've got, client and associate retention that's in place, the opportunity to train and be duplicatable and to be able to grow, on a national level, so that all we got to do is grow our distribution company, and we can get great at telling this story and get people passionate, caught up with this conversation. If we did that, could we really make a difference? I mean, if we showed up to one family's home and we showed them how to have a plan to lock in their advances, a plan to secure their investment, their long-term advances, the opportunity to get out of debt. If we showed up and made that impact, would that make a difference? Well, if you could make $200 to $900 for every family you help, would that start to make a difference in your life? So you started this conversation that this is an impact module. So one, let's make an impact on our family, but let's make an impact on other people. But here's the fun thing, is if those things are in alignment, if we make an impact on someone else's family, then it's okay for us to feel good about making an impact on ours. How many lives could you change? If you said, man, $200 to $900, and I want to make X amount of dollars, man, all of a sudden now they're in alignment, so let me go take this story to people. How many lives could you change? But what if you had a team of 5 people? What if all of you knew this story? What if all of you were confident in this conversation? All of you understood the strategic partnership we had, knew how to leverage Primerica in the back office, knew how to really say that when we were going to close this access gap and how to make that a reality. If you and 5 people were passionate about making a difference in your lives and the lives of the people around you, could you make an impact? What if you had 25 people on your team? What if you had 50 or 100 or 500? Or what if you had 1,000 people on your team, all of them developing allies, advocates, and associates, all of them understanding that there was a bigger purpose, all of them understanding that they wanted to do something different with their life. They wanted to find something that was real, that was credible, that was in alignment with themselves, where they could make an impact, where they could accomplish their wants. And there was a support system behind it. And you had a team of people that were passionate here, where you live now, and around the corner, and around the street, and across the city, and across the state, and across the country. Could you make a difference if that's what you guys did? See, it allows us to play for something bigger. Could you and your team make a real impact? And could you create financial freedom for your family? Imagine having 1,000 life insurance, long-term care license appointed, Series 6 and 63, 65 managed account, registered representative investment advisor representatives, and you had people that were walking in people's homes where no one else was coming and saying, look, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to talk to you about a financial game plan. Primerica is an unbelievable strategic partner. We're going to ask these questions, we're going to fill out this paperwork, and we're going to take a look at what you got. And if we can make a difference, fantastic. And if we can't, fantastic. But we want you to understand our story. We want you to understand that we want to be a part of the change. We believe the Main Street family has been abandoned, and there's a group of us that are standing up saying, not on our watch, not anymore. We got the tools of the wealthy, we got the resources of the wealthy, and we are going to find a way to bring it to folks. If you told that story a bunch, and you had 500, 1,000 people telling that same story, using the same resources, you think you might be able to make a difference? And you think that might make a difference for your financial life? See, our words traditionally are fight for impact and drive for profit, and play to win. See, the great thing about this, and hopefully you see this in this module, is that if you fight to make an impact, then you will drive to be profitable. And when you do that together, you're going to win everything. Guys, our opportunity is to really be a part of something bigger than ourselves, and to realize that if we do that, very, very, very good things are in front of us. Now again, like every other thing, this presentation reflects the opinions of the speaker, not that of Primerica, and this is designed for us. This is internal training purposes, guys. This is our opportunity to get this language and to understand, for you to be able to use all the tools that you've got so you can grow your company. This is our time to step up and take it to the next step. Talk to you soon.